Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers here on the East Coast of the United States of America. Welcome all to the Patriot Desk. Before we get started tonight, folks, I got to tell you, we have a very, very good guest from Canada who's worked so very, very hard, and I'm going to be introducing her in a few minutes. But before we move on with our broadcast, I'll be back in about 15, maybe 20 seconds. Thank you. What do you think of that, folks? That's a Canadian company that's sponsoring some of our broadcasts, and there's a lot more coming on board, not only here on Thursday nights when we have the Canadian edition, but our American edition on Monday nights. So word's getting out, the word's spreading. We're getting a lot of people being drawn to this broadcast. We picked up a few more countries, and I'll be talking to you about that on Monday night and then on Thursday night. But first, I have good news for you. We always have good news, don't we, here at the Campaign for America? The good news is that tomorrow, all 50 United States state legislatures are going to receive the Ohio resolution. In fact, I shouldn't say they're going to receive it. They're going to be mailed out tomorrow. And they're going to have a letter requesting that they, in their own individual states, introduce resolutions that will place, or at least recommend that the Canadian government and Justin Trudeau get placed on the religious watch list. That's one of many actions that we're going to begin to take with regard to our relationship in Canada. We're finding out as we move along that a lot of congressional representatives in this country have no idea what's going on in Canada. Well, they have an idea now. And all that credit should go to the truckers who participated in the peaceful convoy, the protesters in Canada who participated in a peaceful protest. And frankly, folks, I got to tell you, Justin Trudeau and his government that supports him, they have, at least in my view, committed political suicide. Little by little. I know a lot of people are talking about, well, you were thrown a crumb this week. You're concerned about the C11 internet live streaming issue. Little by little, step by step. You got to win one battle at a time. It all adds up, and then we win the war. And you know how we're going to win the war? With people like my next guest. A fine woman who's worked very hard, from what I understand, in Canada to bring you the truth, to bring you facts, and to rally people for her country. So here we are, Odessa Olowicz with liberty.com/Odessa. Thank you for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I've heard a lot of good things about you. People are very impressed with the way you have brought forth a lot of information that they're not getting on the mainstream media there, and the fact that you've really stood the course. So I'll tell you what, we have here a large Canadian audience on this feed. I've got a large American audience. So if you could familiarize all of us with who you are, what your organization's all about, and what you're doing. And by the way, take all the time you want. We're unlimited at this point, okay?
Okay, well, thanks for having me on. I actually begged your assistant if you could come on my show. And he said, well, you can ask him later. But then I was so happy you invited me on yours. So thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, I'll be more than glad to come on your show.
Yeah, we need hope up here, and you seem to make people feel hopeful. You did for me, that's for sure.
Wow, thank you.
Your video went viral, actually, up here. There was one you did. I think there was music in the background. It was amazing. Just like, Mr. Trudeau, we're coming for you once we take back government, right? So, okay, so how did I start? A couple of months after the lockdowns, I did enough investigation with reading and digging and people sending me things that I realized something's definitely not right. And I could feel that mass vaccination was coming and that we wouldn't have a choice based on a lot of things that I'd read, I researched. And so right away, I started a channel with somebody else called Liberty Talk Canada. I ended up, after about a month, just doing it on my own. And I was one of the first to come out in Canada online on YouTube and say what I think's going on. But I kind of said, well, I know it is. And I didn't know if I'd be laughed out of the country, if I'd be ridiculed online. And I was shocked how many people subscribed and how big the YouTube channel got so quickly. And a lot of people were like, I feel the same, I feel the same. So I found, this is near the beginning, so the protests weren't that big. I found a protest by digging that Susan Stanfield was doing downtown to say, enough with these mandates. We knew at that time that our Canadian hospitals in the first month of the lockdown were pretty much empty. People were going, so our news would say, oh, people are slammed at this hospital. So someone in that province would go, pretend they had an emergency, they'd sit there and the hospitals were dead. And they would say, where's all the COVID patients? They'd say, oh, we don't have any. So I'm friends with nurses and they were saying it's empty. So I thought to myself, why would they not reopen Canada then? I mean, they're torching our business every day it's closed. And they wouldn't. And I'm like, this is not good. So my YouTube channel grew. I used to have a huge YouTube channel, but it's been taken down twice. So I'm trying to build it back up again, but now I'm just on alternative media.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. All right, we can help you with that because we have been threatened by people in Canada far beyond the expectations I ever imagined, but they've gone nowhere, these threats. With regard to your YouTube channel, if it's ever taken down again, send us your videos because we have just about everyone who's been in touch with us, we have their emails. And we're sending out and preparing to send out our videos if, in fact, your live streaming is disrupted. And we'll send them out for you, okay? We'll just send them out right from here. So they'll be able to get your broadcast, they'll be able to get ours, and it's all about teamwork, isn't it? Working together. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm looking at the feed, and you're in a better position than I am right now to answer it. But I read where a lot of people are still kind of distressed, and a couple of people say Canada is in a mess. But my view is Trudeau's in a mess, not the people of Canada. His government is in a mess. And when you look at the worldwide condemnation, and maybe, well, from what I understand, a lot of the people in Canada are not getting the news we're getting. It's astounding what people like you and others in Canada have accomplished. So could you give me a little flavor of the true morale there? And let's talk about that a bit.
Sure. And then I'll get back to liberty.com. It's a social media site we've opened so that we can, you know what? Nobody has any trust in our health authority and our government anymore. So when it came out that Trudeau's going to lift the domestic travel for the unvaccinated, oh, great. But when we want to go vacation, it's in the States or Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if you're unvaccinated coming back in, no, they want to do 3 tests with that awful PCR test covered in chemicals and quarantine you for 2 weeks still. So yay, we can fly across Canada, but it's still just as bad coming in. Also, there's 2 days of elation that at least we can get on a train or a flight now across Canada. But our news, our mainstream news comes out with someone that's really high up, just below Trudeau. And he says, come the fall, you're no longer going to be considered vaccinated with 2 doses. So they're doing extremes one way, extreme the other. And then I got a leaked document that's supposed to be an internal memo from Bonnie Henry, who's our British Columbia Health Authority, and she's more communist than any of them. She's been the worst, and I live in the worst province of the communism, that she is wanting to get vax status now of a whole bunch of other people in the health industry and is pushing for the booster needing uptake. So come the fall, we think we have it to deal with it all over again with the booster. Well, meanwhile, here in Canada, our charts from the hospital are showing that it gets worse and worse and worse. The highest number of people in the hospitals passing are the ones with the 3 doses. And there's not a lot of the population that's taken it. I think it's about 50%. So it's 50% are like over 80% the ones having troubles in the hospital and dying from COVID. So it's like it's info wars.
You know, Odessa, you're absolutely right. It's InfoWars, and unfortunately, it's one-sided when it comes to Trudeau government. But what he did not expect is for us down here to take some action. What any action we can't take, we're going to take. Now, a few things we're doing. As you noticed, as you heard, we're letting every state legislature know that they need to jump on board what Ohio did. Put this guy on the religious watch list. But it's going to go beyond that. And I know what I'm about to say. I know I'm going to get the hate mail and all of that, but I'm going to say it, folks. We in the United States of America, we the people, will ask our congressional representatives to have some sort of hearings with regard to our foreign policy as it relates to Canada. We can do that. We can do that. Now, for all of the people that sent me all their threats and hate mail saying, well, you have no right to investigate Canada, you have no right to interfere with the government. Number one, we're not interfering with your government. We're trying to secure our government. Number two, we could do what we want in America. We don't live by Trudeau's rules and regulations. As far as I'm concerned, he's a communist, and we're going to get that across to every single representative we could in the United States of America. So that's why I say, stand by, folks. We're doing the best we could. And Odessa, some of the things that you just said to me, we do have a program called Project Maple Leaf. And it's people who are not investigating the government, not interfering with your government, but we're gathering educational material, if you will, to let people, primarily our leaders, know what in the world is going on in Canada. And so that's why I say, inch by inch, little by little, they're in the mess, not us. We know what direction we're going in. They have no idea what direction they're going in. And this bullying and this intimidation that's going on, I've got to tell you, the more we get this out, the worse it's going to be for Trudeau. So you're gathering and talking about this information on the air to the best of your ability. It's working. And that's why I share with people, not only here in America, but in Canada, fear not. All right. Fear not. I know it's easy to say than that, but we've been there. We're here right now in America. But we're not in a mess. Joe Biden's in a mess. Yeah. He's in a real mess. And here's the encouraging part of it. And I want you to follow up on liberty.com. And here's something to keep in mind. We've been through this already when our government tried to impose all of these regulations on us, and did to some degree. But come November of 2022, the Biden government is done. They're finished. He'll still be president until 24. We've already gained seats across this country. I mean, we threw these Democrats right out. And now what we call the red wave, I call it the red tsunami, is going to sweep across this country. So Justin Trudeau and those people of his in his parliament take a real good look at what's happening south. Because you know what's going to happen, folks? The red tsunami is not going to stop at our northern border. It's going to go right into Canada. And if the people stand up and work within the framework of the law, it's so important you do that, you win, they lose. Now let's talk about liberty.com. I'd love to hear what you're doing and what liberty.com is.
Okay, so when my show continually was taken down, my husband said, I want to open up a social media platform in Canada. And I said, okay, we should just target it for Canadians so that we get all the awake Canadians a place to actually share all the doctor videos, all the whistleblowers, the politicians. And so it's called liberty.com, spelled weird, LIBRTI.com. And my profile's at /Odessa. And a lot of people are joining, and it's where you can post everything without it getting taken down, unless it's extremely offensive, like we don't allow like nudity, etc. But that's where everyone's meeting each other who are Canadian and sharing what's going on in videos without us being, there's a lot of Christians on there. There's non-Christians too, but without us just being pummeled. So there's freedom of showing what all the doctors are doing. There's leaked documents that go on there showing what our government's up to. Anybody who's not okay with the extreme trans agenda in our schools, they are posting videos of what's going on in the schools without them getting taken down or people like just shamed on on media, and it's a safe place for parents to talk. So we just want liberty.com to be the place to go. And my husband has a tech guy who made sure that we don't use any of the Bill Gates tech that they can take down. So we have our servers in a bunker on the other side of the world. All our tech is our own, which is why it was very difficult to put it together. So it's a very professional site, and we're getting more and more people on there every day.
All right, this is very important, and I'm addressing the Canadian people. Here it is. You have a place now to share, to relate to each other, to discuss these things with each other. So I urge you to get in touch with liberty.com/Odessa. It's very, very important, because you know what, Odessa, a lot of the people that we hear from, they really feel very lonely, very, very lonely. And I could tell by the emails, people crying out for help, and they think they're alone. And until we started to get people from around the world on, we had Chris Anderson on from the EU, and we had representatives from Australia. We have more coming on from other countries that are facing similar difficulties. And the feedback we're getting is, well, we are not alone. And so you have the platform and you have the place for the Canadians to share and relate to each other. And that's a big, big help to us, because I'd rather them understand that I'm not there in Canada. The toughest thing in the world to do is to say, I know how you feel. I don't know how you feel. All right. I can only tell you how we felt when it came to us. But I think it's important that the Canadian people get in touch with Odessa, get in touch with our organization, and by all means, join that effort. Now, Odessa, now the information you're getting, I'm sure you fact checked it to the best of your ability, right? I mean, it's so important that what people are receiving are facts, because we get a lot of the conspiracy theorists and all that, and we check everybody out. In fact, we checked you out before, we had you come on the air, and it was stellar what we found out. In fact, I got to tell you, I think it was an answer to our prayers, because what you're doing is right there on the ground. I'm here, you're there. But this is how we work together as a team. But people need to know what they're going to get vis-a-vis your broadcasting are facts.
So I have a couple questions for you, and then I'll actually talk about other things I've been involved in here, and I can update people on how lawsuits are going, etc. So I don't know if you're probably aware of this, but when Canadians try to go to the States, it's hit and miss. So you can get one border guard who lets you through without the Vax Pass, and then you'll get another one who doesn't even ask and lets you through. And so people are trying to book vacations, and nobody knows if they're going to get through or not, because Biden has put up a thing that we can't come in without the Vax Pass. So we're kind of trapped here anyways. A lot of people have gotten through, but they wait till they're through to book their flight. So you pack all your bags. So we are really hoping when you guys take it back in November that the Republicans really take it seriously what's going on here, because you will literally have communists at your border if we don't get rid of Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh. And we are praying the Republicans can do something and let us into the States if need be. We're wondering if we should go to Mexico somehow and come in that way and be refugees.
Well, I'll tell you, I fully understand that. I am aware of that. I've been aware of that. And I'm purposely waiting till November. I know if we pursue this now, my concern is that there'll be the opposite effect. They'll say, well, we have a problem at our borders. Let's just, strengthen them. And that's what this administration would do. So we're gonna wait till November. Although with an election coming up, a lot of Democrats are concerned that they're going to get defeated. I can't tell what they would do. Odessa, here in New Jersey, we get thousands and thousands of Canadians come to our shores here. And they boost the economic strength of those towns. So we're taking that information, and as we did with the Ohio resolution, we're going to send it to the United States Congress. But I'm waiting till after November. But in the meantime, we know who's running. We know who we got to reach in the House and in the Senate to at least educate them as we move forward towards November. So yes, we're aware of it, and yes, we're going to do everything we can. I always say this: I can't guarantee success right away, but I'll say I'm pretty sure that we'll be successful in our efforts moving forward, but it's going to take time. And time is on our side. Believe me, a lot of Canadians, as Americans, that said time is not on your side. Well, time is not on Trudeau's side. Definitely time is not on Biden's side. And sooner or later, Trudeau's gone. And with him will go all the ilk that supports him. So to answer your question directly, I'm aware of it, and we are going to do everything we can to correct that.
We also have another question. If there's a world war, which we hope not, we don't even know which side Trudeau will join. Will he go with America to fight China, or will he join China? Like we have no idea. We're just sitting here in shock.
Let me give you some good information about that. I don't believe that the Canadian government, no matter who's in control, will go against the United States. I don't believe that'll ever happen. I think that's when you'll see Odessa clear heads and good thinkers say, "Hey, look at Trudeau. You know, he's fallen into that trap that a lot of these countries do. China's friendly to no one, and I've said this all along. When the communists take control of different entities, political entities, if you will, they're going to throw out the very people that help them take control, because you got to be a born full-blooded communist, okay, baptized in Beijing, all right? So you can be a fake communist, which these people are. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think I'll ever see Canada go against the United States. Look, I'm going to share something with you that I'm going to be on a TV network here later about what's going on in Israel. Joe Biden is trying to portray himself as a friend of Israel. He is not. The Democrats in this country are trying to portray themselves as friends of Israel. They are not. Our fear is that the Biden administration will turn their backs on Israel. But when we start speaking to elected representatives of both parties, they're making it very clear it's not going to happen. So Israel is going to have our protection. All these Arab states that are looking to annihilate Israel, especially Iran, are going to have a rude awakening. And the fact of the matter is that the American people, and this is where the Canadian people have to kind of replicate what we're doing. You know, make your voice count, stand strong together, and make it clear that you're not going to tolerate any alliance with China. And so, believe me, we got that commercial we put out, Together Forever. Well, the Canadian people and the American people are together forever. Little bump in the road. That's what I call it, a bump in the road, but we're going to knock that bump down. So we're going to stand with you, and you will stand with us, in my professional opinion.
And I'm friends with Police on Guard. I've interviewed them, and I'm so happy that these groups of police for freedom are hooking up with American people like them.
Yeah, Ray Farnsworth, Ray, or Clay.
Yeah,
Clay.
Good guy. Yeah, I interviewed Chris, but we're pretty happy about that. So lawsuits that are happening. So meanwhile, our health authority, Bonnie Henry in BC, is sending out these things that they're getting ready to force the third one on anybody they can force to keep their job. Meanwhile, there's yet another lawsuit that has just been put out by doctors saying it's ridiculous that we can't work because of this. So she has about 3 lawsuits going right now, maybe 4. So she's going to be, in those fall, winter, she's in 4 lawsuits right now against her. So we thought she'd slow down, but I feel like, nope, she's just going to keep going.
Well, you just mentioned it. Keep going, keep going. And one of the things that I'm finding out is that the court of public opinion means an awful lot to these politicians. Justin Trudeau knows full well how the world thinks about him. I got a list of leaders. I got more. I had a dozen I mentioned on the air last night. We got a lot more. So he's in trouble with regard to the international community. And I will say this to you also. There are international organizations like the International Association of Chiefs of Police, who we're going to be in touch with, and we're going to send them what we believe to be our violations of people's civil rights in Canada, of human rights in Canada. Now, will they do anything? Maybe not, but I'm sure they'll send a letter, at least to us, and say, well, we'll look into it. And that's all I'm looking for. And then I'll send that letter to Trudeau's government to let them know. Now we're all aware, even the International Associations of Police Chiefs. With regard to the World Health Organization, well, they kind of got slapped in the face last week, didn't they? It didn't work. It didn't work out. And the Canadian people and the American people need to understand it's because of your voices and the pressure that you put on our political leaders that was like a domino effect right up to the World Health Organization. So I remember people were very upset that we were going to lose our sovereignty here in America with regard to health in Canada. Well, they got a real slap in the face, and they're going to get more slaps in the face. It takes time, it takes strategy, it takes tactics, and it takes doing what? And Odessa, I know you've probably mentioned this over and over again, work within the framework of the law, because the law is on our side. Now, I want to share something that you are doing constantly through this broadcast. And I want the Canadian people to notice this. You notice something, folks, about Odessa? Through this entire broadcast, she has had a very bright smile on her face. And you know what that's saying? You know, there's body language, right? People, that's saying all is well. All is well. And that's what I'm trying to get to the Canadian people. You know, Odessa, somebody said a few weeks ago to me, boy, that Trudeau, he must be a real thorn in your side. And I said, no, we're a thorn in his side. We are a thorn in his side, folks. The Canadian people are a thorn in this guy's side. So just keep smiling and keep working. So, all right, so continue. I'm very intrigued over what you're doing here, especially with regard to all these videos and all the information that you're getting.
Okay, so it seems that there may have been a shift with our judges here in Canada. We're not getting excited yet, but before, everything was just thrown out, because I think that first year, a lot of judges truly had no idea what was going on, and they just believed what was being spewed at them from the news, right? But now they are being given the science and statistics, and some of them are kind of going, yeah, this is. And so the Attorney General got a small spanking a few weeks ago when he tried to get a case thrown out in the east of Canada. And two people that we know that are freedom fighters that were during lockdown in front of, I don't know if it was a church or somewhere else, they were handing out pamphlets. Well, they got arrested because you're not allowed to be with more than 5 people, but it was a protest. So they got arrested and charged with like 7 different charges. They're going to come back on my show. They decided, they said their lawyers sucked. They fired their lawyers and they went in by themselves, represented themselves, and the judge dropped all their charges. The government did not get what they wanted, and said that, yeah, under the law, you can protest. So all these charges are null and void. And they had been fighting this for like 1.5 years, and they were going to possibly do jail time, and they just won. Yeah.
See, victories are there, and unfortunately, the mainstream media is not talking about it. This is critically important for people to know, because now you're sharing information with a lot of people that did not know a lot of this stuff. So this is great. All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take about a 30-second break, okay? I'm going to run our that Power Blast. I don't know if you know anything about them, but what a company. Just look at the floors, the work they do. So we'll be back in about 20 seconds, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Isn't that terrific, folks? Power Blast, a Canadian company that has decided that they're going to help sponsor some of our programs and get the word out. And we're going to have more Canadian companies come on. What do you think of that? You got that's what I say, victory after victory. You even got small businesses saying, look, we're going to step up and we're going to do what we can do to get the word out. So what do you think of that, Odessa?
I think it's awesome.
That's neat.
Yeah, we're a lot of the YouTubers are starting to show ads from local. I have a guy that literally, even if I don't sell anything, he's letting me advertise because he wants to support the show for his hydrogen machine. So the support can come if you put it out to God that you need some support. It seems to come. But no, this whole tyranny is creating a whole society that's trying to function away from it. And they're trying to take us down. But that's why we're building our own freedom social media platforms. People are starting to grow their own food. People are starting to figure out where to flee if we have to. And it's terrible to live in this state of, I don't know what autumn brings. People have heightened anxiety, and but the law, like the lawsuits are just everywhere right now. I want to update. I don't know if you've interviewed her, but you should. Action for Canada, Tanya Gaw. So she's hired Rocco Galati to go up against Bonnie in BC. They kept trying to put it off. They broke all these rules of putting it off. And finally, it got into court a few weeks ago. And the Attorney General and the lawyer for Bonnie Henry and a few others was trying to get the whole thing thrown out. And I heard that Rocco just slaughtered the lawyer in court. And this is a huge one. It's a constitutional lawsuit. And the only defense that the lawyer had was, instead of bringing the science and showing why they're doing what they're doing, which he didn't have any, he said to the judge, only on a flat earth would this lawsuit not get thrown out. And then their next was, this is all conspiracy theory. And so Rocky said, it's conspiracy fact. I have everybody that I need to prove what's going on. I have waiting in the wings. I have professionals that will come in, doctors, scientists, whistleblowers. Like he said, everything I can prove in my case. And at times they said their lawyer was so bad, you couldn't figure out which side they were working for. So I do know that Rocco slaughtered the lawyer. And so now the judge has 30 days to decide if he's going to throw it out or not. And of course, we're like, oh, will he get blackmailed or bribed during this time or threatened? We don't know. But he didn't throw it out. And it's pretty embarrassing for Bonnie and the government how it went. Still, they don't bring any science.
Let's talk about a few things regarding what you just said. You mentioned, first of all, you and I have a mutual friend, and that friend is God. It's Jesus Christ. And that friend has always been with us. I'm sure, and I want people to understand that, I've been involved in politics and successfully have run for office, etc. So I'm not a minister, all right? I'm not trying to preach anything to you, but I know full well that a nation that prays stays together. You hear the saying, a family that prays together stays together, a nation that prays together stays together. So Des, I want to talk to you a little bit about the spiritual war, because indeed, I really believe we're in a spiritual war, that the Communist Party has, as it always does, launched an unprecedented attack on the faith of people in Canada and in the United States, the freest countries on the face of this earth. And, I've read the Communist Manifesto, and they always go after faith. Once you go after faith, you just reduce their faith, their desire goes, and their hope is gone. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we have to stand strong and pray, pray, pray. And I believe that a lot of you and I are talking about are answers to the prayers of the people who are now listening to us.
True. Yeah, I became Christian actually about 6 months into this whole thing, because I found that even though so many are not speaking out, the people that were doing the hard work, the rallies and all of the behind the scenes work, exposing what was going on, going to the RCMP, all the really good ones were Christian. So all of a sudden I had all these new friends that were Christian, and I realized that, okay, Satan does exist. I realized that through this tyranny in the last 2.5 years. So I'm like, okay, so that means that the opposite does, and I need to get right with God and hope. I pray every night to God, please use me to do your work. Keep me grounded, help me with anxiety, but what's next? What do you need me to do next? Make it appear, and it always does.
Well, yes, it always does. People say to me, well, they're not qualified to do certain things, but we must keep in mind that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. And many times people will say, well, Lord, do something. I hear that a lot. Lord, do something. We need your help. Do something. And you almost hear a voice from heaven. Well, I am doing something. I'm using you. I'm using you and the skills and the talents and the gifts I've given you. And for every Canadian and American out there, remember that when we pray that prayer, don't be surprised if God is going to say, okay, he's going to tap you on the shoulder. He says, okay, I'm going to answer your prayer. And you're the answer to the prayers of the people in your country. And so when you stand up and do what you're doing, and I believe this in our time, this is our time now, that this is truly not only a political calling, but it is a holy calling, because we're fighting for two gifts. Think about this. Two gifts, folks, that no parliament, no president, no prime minister can ever give us. Two gifts that only God has given us: freedom and liberty. Those are God-given gifts burned in the Constitution of the United States of America, and I know burned in your Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So, Odessa, when you look at that and you look at those Christians who are coming aboard, you're looking at people being moved by God. And amazingly, how Christians and Jews are now coming together. We have thousands of Jewish people here in America who are coming together. There's a group called Jexit, and those are Jews that have left the Democrat Communist Party. And we've been working together with them, and we've had them on the air a few times, and we will have them on the air again, who are talking about a lot of what the persecution that's going on against Christians and Jews in Canada and the United States. But see, it shows me one thing, though. It shows me that, they talk about evidence. There's enough evidence out there, at least in my view, to show that the Communist Party have their fingerprints all over what's going on here in America and here and there in Canada. I'm saying here in Canada because I've been working on trying to get to your country. We're watching some of these rules and regulations come and go, but I want to make sure if I come, I can get back. So we'll talk about that some other time. But my point is this, is that we need to stand strong and fight the root cause of the problems, and that's the Communist Party in both of our countries. And that's what I believe we're doing. And one of the fundamental weapons is what? The sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, God's Word that's written in the Bible. Well, this is good. So I want you again to talk about liberty.com/Odessa, because there are a lot more people. I'm watching numbers just climb here.
Okay.
Really climb.
So
go right ahead. I'm sorry.
It's free to join. librti.com/Odessa. My husband and Roman and Dion own it, as well as me a tiny bit. Right now we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's all for free right now. If you feel like it and you want to upgrade to a paid membership, that helps us out, $5-10 a month or even less, or donate. But if you come on there, you won't lose track of anybody. No matter what happens, they can't take our site down unless they literally come and knock on our door with a gun. They can't take it down. So it's going to be there for the long haul. And I think Bill C-11 may have just passed. See, the problem is the collusion now with Jagmeet Singh and Trudeau, the NDP and Trudeau. Jagmeet is just saying yes to everything Trudeau wants. So all these things are being passed, but luckily we have Pierre Poilievre being extremely loud and helping. Another thing just happened. I don't know, some people here may have seen my episode yesterday, but this is kind of a big deal. You know the Fauci emails that were kind of a big deal when his... Yes. So here in BC, Bonnie Henry, the health authority, a lawyer who's suing her for something, for a client, asked for freedom of information, and you can only get 6 months at a time, or it takes forever. So this lawyer asked for freedom of information for Bonnie's emails for the 6 months leading up to June 2021. And so they had to release the emails. There's a bunch of redacted stuff, but it's kind of a big deal. I read out the 40 pages, the ones that mattered, of proving that our health authority, who says safe and effective, was getting emails from other people within her health employee community of all the things happening to people, like blood clots and strokes and death and all sorts of Guillain-Barré. And this is 1.4 years ago. A year and 4 months ago, she was getting all this sent to her, but she said safe and effective. So it's getting shared a lot, this episode I did, because I read it out, and now everyone can get this document online. So it's interesting that she's literally been shown that she's a fraud, that she knows these things are going on, yet here she is putting out more rules. So Bonnie does not like me, and Trudeau does not like me. And this episode is bringing it to everyone's attention. So I don't know what's going to happen. More people are going to find out that she's BSing.
Well, what's going to happen is that these people are going to be sent to the ash bin of history, like the Soviet Communist Party, because these people that lie and that join the those who continue to lie to us, that's where they end up. Hey, look, we're going to be back in about 15 seconds, okay?
Great.
Well, folks, welcome back. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Now, I'm going to ask you folks to get in touch with Odessa. Now, Odessa, I've gotten some feedback here where people would like you to pin your website or the way they could reach you. So here's what I'm going to do. Obviously, I'm going to ask you all to share this. All right, share this video, and I'm going to ask David Doolin, who's been a tremendous asset to the people of Canada. He's actually on our board of directors here at Campaign for America and our representative in Canada. I'm going to ask him to get in touch with you, and we're going to do everything we could to help you. All right, because you got an organization there that's doing something that is vitally and critically important. That's getting the truth out. That's number one. Number two, those of you who are watching, please email us. I'm going to, it's campaign4america.com. Okay. Now just email us. If you have already emailed us, we have your email. But the reason why I'm asking you to email us through the website, folks, is because we're able to capture, here it is right here, okay? Here it is, okay. You're going to see a part where it says contact us. Just put your email in there, and we're going to be able to understand that you're new, and we're going to keep your emails, because if anything goes down in Canada, Odessa, we're going to make sure that all of those people who contacted us are going to get your videos, okay? Because what we can do is just directly email it to them from here. And then we have other methods that we can use in the event that happens. But I'll tell you, if they go that far, I got a funny feeling that that's not going to sit well with a lot of leaders around the world, and they're going to get a lot of pushback. We'll see what happens. So my point is this: look, C11, if they pass it, I know it's discouraging. It may be distressing, but not for us. It's going to be discouraging and distressing for them, because they're just emboldening us every single day. They're giving us more fire in our belly to stand up and to fight for freedom. Odessa, here's something I suggest to you also. I want to see if you agree with me or disagree with me, or, have a little bit of a different view. The Bible says that what man meant for evil, God meant for good. And I believe the Trudeau government, in the case of what he's doing to the people of Canada, as well as Biden, what he's doing here in America, these are evil, intentional evil things that are being done to the people. Mm-hmm. But God used that to wake us up because, Canada was not on our radar here in America. We just love the people of Canada. Everything is nice and fine. We've been to their country. The people are great. It's a beautiful country. All our attention was at the southern border, where we could visibly see what's happening. Little did any of us know what was going on in Canada until what happened, until the truckers' convoy, until the people of Canada protested. And then that I won't mention the name on the air, that little guy, Trudeau, all right, he decides that he's going to really show his toughness. Well, he showed his toughness, all right, but it backfired because what it did was it awakened the world. We've got people from Lithuania in touch with us, from Sweden, from Australia, from Israel. I mean, all over the world that are watching this broadcast. So my point is this. What's the Bible say? Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am the Lord your God. I'll give you the last word.
Amen.
That was great.
You took me by surprise. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. And let's make sure that people do get in touch with you. We'll have you on again. All right. I'd love to have you on again. We're going to have Clay on again and great people of Canada. And so, folks, keep in mind, keep Odessa in prayer. Hey, listen, we're going to do what we could to help you. OK. And I'll ask David to get in touch with you. And I'll be more than happy to come on your broadcast. It's all teamwork. All teamwork. It is. All teamwork.
And meanwhile, we're digging a hole straight to Florida. We've gotten a couple miles. We're digging a tunnel straight to Florida.
Yeah.
Come in somehow and get into Florida. That's where all the Canadians want to go right now.
Yeah, that's where the Americans want to go. So, but you see, things are going to change here in November, believe me. And then come 2024, well, that's when we get the White House back. We're going to get it back. Take a lot of prayer and teamwork. Odessa, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you standing up for your country, and we'll see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Well, what do you think of that, folks? The people of Canada, look at the heroes. I call people like Odessa and Clay Farnsworth and Brian Peckford and David Doolin. And I mean, I could go on and on with the guests that we've had on this broadcast from Canada, as we have some great heroes on the American edition of Americans, the grassroots Americans and Canadians standing up and saying, you know what, we're not going to be bullied. And who cares what you say, Trudeau? And Biden, who cares what you say? Fact of the matter is that people are now caring what we, the people, say. People of Canada and the people of the United States. Man, I'll tell you, this is something that the unity we now have between our countries is astounding. No politician, folks. I'll close with this. No politician, no parliament, no Congress, no prime minister, no president has ever been able to create a bondage between two countries like we see now between Canada and the United States of America. That can only be born. It can only be given birth in a city whose builder and maker is God. Heaven, his realm, heaven, his kingdom. We have a lot to be thankful for, don't we? And we're going to one day, we're going to sit back and we're going to be by a fireplace or in a garden somewhere. We're going to sit back under a tree, and our children and grandchildren years from now are going to come to you and me and say, what did you do? What did you do in that time, in that period of time in your life where our freedom and liberty was in jeopardy? And you're going to be able to say, well, young man, young lady, I did the best I could. I prayed. I fought the good fight of faith. And look at that building over there. And your little grandchild is going to look at the building, and you're going to say to them, you see what's flying on that building? You see what's flying there? A symbol of freedom and liberty. A symbol of freedom and liberty. And the good thing about this, folks, is these are living testimony as to what a free people could do. Those flags, these symbols are here today. They'll be there tomorrow, and they'll be there forever. Why? Because we are truly together. Thank you all. God bless you. See you Monday night for the American edition, next Thursday night for the Canadian edition. And by the way, always and forever, let freedom ring. Thank you all. God bless you. And if you can help us out a bit, go to the website, campaignforamerica.com. And if you can make a donation here, that's fine. And keep Odessa's organization also in your prayers. And if you can help them out, that would be great. Okay, take care, folks. God bless you all. Thank you for joining me. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers.